What's up, guys? Today we are trying something new. We are going to be showing off a tutorial on how to build basically every common vehicle in Create Aeronautics, because I know sometimes it's really annoying to try to learn how to make those. And luckily, I've been playing this mod since it came out, and before that, Valkyrian Skies, so I'm going to try to show you. Now, the first vehicle that I'm going to be showing you how to make is just a simple car. And I'm not gonna, try to make this look good or anything. I'm just gonna show you the very base of how to build the car, and you can build from there. So let's say this right here is gonna be our front. So we need, if you have Create connected, a parallel gearbox. Otherwise, you can find another way to get the same rotation here, such as like a chain drive going out. But then really you just have to pull all of that power down to the back, and I'm using encased chain drives. You don't have to. It's just I'm using them because really how we're gonna power this is by taking this power up and getting a portable engine right there, and that's how we can power the whole thing. But that's not actually how we're gonna have it. And then we put another parallel gearbox here. We're gonna have our wheel mounts back here. So that's the front, that's the back. And now to make it, go backward and forward, we need to put our directional gear shift here that can make us stop the car or go forward or backward. And then we can put our portable engine. And this is really the basis. We can just add our tires here. And once we link it all up, this is all you need to get a working car. So let me show you how to do that whole linking thing. Basically, Create Aeronautics makes this really easy. All you have to do is put links on the front and back of your two wheel mounts, and then that will basically that's all you need to get this thing to turn. And if you don't know how to like choose the direction of this, you can take a lever and see which way turns which direction. So you put on the front, that turns it right. So that means that these links will be our right. And now, really, we just need links back here. Alright, guys, sorry, I said the part about the gearboxes over here wrong. What you really need is the brass gearbox, and you have to set it so both of the directions are the same. And then all you have to do is just put your wheel mounts back. And it's the same thing other than just the gearbox. Sorry about that. Okay, guys, and now we just have to, do the links for this gear shift right here. So we can check that with something like this. And then make sure all of these are spinning in the same direction. If they're not, you can either go in and switch this on the brass gearbox, or you can instead just put a random gearbox like down here. And now you see all of these are going forward when I have that side. Alright, guys, then once you've gone around, right-clicked all of your links with a wrench to set them to receiving, you can simply power your portable engine, and then you can take your remote and drive around, and you can turn. Everything works. And that is how you make your car. And then you can obviously, build a body around this or anything. And you can speed up the engine if you want, maybe use a different type of engine, but that is how you build a Create Aeronautics car. Alright, guys, the next vehicle that we'll be building is an airship. This one is gonna look pretty ugly, but let's get to that. So, obviously, first you have to build, a little base design for your airship. And I'm gonna make a pretty small and ugly airship, but obviously you can design yours however you want, and I'm just here to show you the technology for it. Alright, guys, so right here we have our kind of an airship body, and we can just basically take our hot air envelopes, support them slightly up, and we can build any kind of balloon we want here. Alright, guys, so once you've built your balloon, I kind of got a little lazy here and just made a rectangle, also probably made it too high, but you can just punch a hole really anywhere, and then you can throw your hot air burner under it. And you can make this hole bigger, it doesn't have to be that size, but then you can just throw a little throttle lever there. I'm probably gonna back this up because we're gonna need the steering wheel there. But then once we have our throttle lever, we can just power that on and it'll fill up. It'll start to fill up the hot air balloon and so on. Alright guys, now that this thing can go up, we gotta make it go forward and also backward. So we can just throw some propellers on here. And then if we get some encased chain drives, or technically you can also use belts, we can go along this and hook all those up to a nice engine, and then also, like we had before, a directional gear shift. And then that we can have our links on the side or the top and the bottom. I'm just gonna have them on the side here because I'm not trying to go inside of this thing. But then, obviously, we have to set a frequency and also set them to receiving. And then once all those are linked up, we can hook it up to just a portable engine and then a gear shift and a clutch. And technically speaking, this does the same exact thing as our directional gear shift, but we're just gonna do this because it's kind of makes more sense when you're doing controlling with levers, and you'll see why we want to do that in a second. Alright guys, so then once you have this linked up, you can come to the front and you can really put your levers anywhere and just hook them up to redstone links. You can see when I flick that, it turns these things on, and when I flick the other one, it allows us to go backwards. And so that is our back and forth. Now we just need to be able to turn, and that is where we get this fancy steering wheel. Alright, so once you've got your steering wheel up in the front, you just want to connect your encased chain drives and take them all the way back so it's just kind of sticking out of the back. And then you can place a swivel bearing back there, hook it all up, and get your rudder in the back. That'll turn you. There's your working airship. Let's go build a plane. Alright guys, so for this plane, I'm not gonna make it survival friendly. However, just remember you can always replace all the creative motors I make with a different type of rotational power if you do want it to be survival friendly. Basically, we just need to make our propeller up here with our windmill sails and our propeller bearing and glue that all together. And then you just have to hook that up to inverted clutch. And then that be our stop and go. We put a creative motor here and just bump it all the way up. And then that right there is our propeller kind of. We'll add a few things here once we do the linking, but that is the basics for our propeller. Now we gotta do our wings. And our wings are a little bit different because we have to make laps for them. And so basically, the base of our wings is just gonna be windmill sails. I didn't actually use them there. But you can make most of your wing out of just windmill sails. And then the back, these will be like our ailerons that help us turn. We can have symmetric sails. And then just do the same thing on the other side. Our flaps we can just glue together like that. And then actually we need to break these two blocks. And grab ourselves a little mechanical bearing. That will be right on there, just like that. And then a gearbox will go right between those two. You just need a directional gear shift and another creative motor. This doesn't really matter. But then that is going to be how we turn. And we'll set up the links for that in a second. First, let's get going to the back. Alright, and so the back wings are going to be a little bit smaller because we don't need as much lift in the back. But really, we can just have the same thing again with the symmetric sails on the back, and then you can just set this up however you want. Alright, guys, and then once you've done that, before we get our vertical stabilizer back here, we gotta set up our flaps again. So again, we're gonna take the mechanical bearing, we're gonna break these two blocks, we're gonna put our mechanical bearings in. And then we need a brass gearbox. And then a wrench. I'll put the brass gearbox here. If you don't have Create connected, you can just kind of make it a different way that'll have both the same. Then you could wrench that side. We might need to break this block together. We wrench one of the sides. And then you can put that back. And now we can just break those. Get ourselves another direction of gear shift. And another creative motor. And then we gotta rotate this so that the flat sides are here. And that is the base of our plane. Now we just gotta link it all up, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so here in the front, also, we can just put a lever on top of our inverted clutch. And that is how we make that go forward like that. But now we have to take our links and put them on the sides of our gear shifts. It's like this. And we can also, if you want to make sure that you have everything going the right way. First of all, that's not right. We have to go to all of our bearings and just set them to only place when anchor is destroyed. So once you've done that with all of the bearings, alright, but basically, if you've gone around and switched all of your mechanical bearings to the only place when anchor is destroyed, you can place your links again, or if you already have them, then you just have to set it so one of these is W, one of them is S, one of these is A, and one of these is D. And then that is your controls. Alright, guys, and I forgot one pretty important thing, so that's my bad, but we have to put a torsion spring in between your directional gear shift and your gearboxes, and then set that max angle to like 45 degrees. So do that, link it all up, and you should be good. And actually, we do need ourselves a gear down here of some sort, so you can really just put a grindstone connected to like some fences. Alright, guys, and then you just have to build your vertical stabilizer, put a seat up front, make sure your propeller's going the right way. And that is our plane. So we can start it up. Make sure it all works. Obviously, you can see we have way too much lift in the front, but that is the basics of the plane. If you have too much lift in the front like me, you can just remove some windmill sails. But that is the plane. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.